Okay, 30 seconds. Hey, what's up, everybody? Now y'all know that's my thing. So I got to kind of jump around here a little bit. What's up, everybody? This is your girl Z. Welcome to Ships, the relationships show where we chronicle the difficult and hidden world of true to life relationships. What's up, squad?
Hello.
Hey. How y'all doing? All
Good.
Right, Dr. Hosea, how was your week?
Oh, it was a wonderful week. I've been anxiously anticipating the day. Can't wait. Let's get it.
All right, Janine, how you doing, girl?
I'm good. I want to say Happy New Year, even though it's past the middle of January still. I say we can say it all month long.
All right. And Pastor Rick, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Fantastic?
Right up. Fantastic.
Fantastic. Okay.
Are
y'all ready?
Yes.
I'm so excited, y'all. We got some, oh my God, some new messages in. Come on now. Hit it. We got to get right into it. Messaging. I can't sing. Now, y'all know I can't sing. Y'all just leave me hanging like in the bottom, baby. Now, y'all know. See how they just left me hanging, y'all? It's all good. It's all good.
That's
all right. I know, right? Yeah, that was on purpose. So anyway, okay, guys, I got some letters, and are y'all ready?
Let's go.
Can y'all handle?
We're
ready.
Okay. All right. Here's the first message in the battle. Okay, so dear Ship Squad, hello. I am a divorced man of 5 years, and after 3.5 years of dating someone, I finally gathered up the courage to get married again. My fiance is amazing. She's smart, attractive, encouraging, and I believe she would be an awesome helpmate. Okay, so that's the problem, right? However, her 24-year-old son still lives with her and takes complete advantage of her kindness. He has a part-time minimum wage job. He doesn't pay any bills. He doesn't clean, cook, or bring any groceries into the house, but he eats her out of a house and a home. He plays video games all day when he's not at work, while she provides for him, cooks and cleans up behind him like he's a little child. That drives me crazy. And every time I say something to her about it, she gets defensive and makes excuses for him, like I'm the one with the problem. I really love this woman, but I can't live in a house with another grown man freeloading. She inherited her home from her parents, and I've been living in a small apartment since my divorce. So we agreed that I would move in with her once we're married. However, due to her parental decisions, I'm thinking about ending it and calling the wedding off. But I really don't want to lose a good woman. I'm writing in because I need some advice. I don't want to make the wrong decision because I'm getting too old to keep starting over. Please help a brother out if you can. Oh, Lordy, this is a juicy one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna start, Janine. I'm gonna start with you.
So I'm gonna defer to the guys, but what I do want to say is that made me sad for the woman that may cross paths with her son because he's not ready to be a man.
Ooh.
Right? So this has more layers than just the guy who's like, I don't want to lose a good woman. There's two brothers here that need help, right? Because really the one on the couch is somebody's future husband.
Right.
We need to get him off the couch for his sake and for the sake of their relationship.
Yeah.
24. Ooh, child. Good luck with that one. Okay, go ahead. Okay, Rick, I'm gonna defer to you, Pastor Rick.
When I looked at this, I was pondering to myself, like, how is it that she allowed this young man to go through this? Of course, he's a mama's boy. Let's just start there. he may be what you call an inheritance baby, that he's waiting for his mama to die so he can get the house. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's yes, ma'am. That's the game.
Okay.
And so, yeah, there was no obviously discipline. Most mothers like that, unfortunately, feel sorry for him. And it could be, I could be wrong, that she was sometimes they're married to their son until someone comes along.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Wow.
Ooh, child. Oh, I don't have no kids, so I don't know about all that. Okay. All right, Dr. Hosea.
Okay, this is a juicy one.
Yes.
This happens a lot.
A lot?
A lot.
Yeah, it does. This is not a taboo situation.
Mm-hmm.
I've dealt with too many situations with similar problems as this. Oftentimes what happens when a mother and a father of a child don't make it, whether the man, leaves, they break up, or he's never present, or there's a divorce, or even if he passes, whatever, the mother tends to, and I'm only saying the mother because this situation, she's the one with the biological child that's being referred to in the letter. The mother doesn't want the child to feel like they're missing out on anything in life.
Yes, sir.
Like they're not going to be deprived because daddy left. Like my child's not going to miss, and they tend to overcompensate.
Yep.
By trying to make sure he's comfortable and doesn't feel neglected or missing anything. And through overcompensation, you can easily spoil them. Yeah. And they're not being developed properly because you're trying to make sure they feel like they're not missing anything, so you don't hold them responsible.
Yes, sir.
And hence here we are 24 years later.
Right.
He's still here operating kind of like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And now she's met a great man, and he probably wasn't raised like that.
Right.
He probably wasn't raised no boy sitting around, laying around the couch, living off of mama, ain't really working a full-time job, playing video games.
Sure.
And this bothers him.
Yeah.
And he's knowing how upsetting it is to him now.
Yeah.
So only imagine when this is his home and he's married and he's kind of committed himself into this situation, which is why he's having second thoughts.
Right.
And he's seeing the pushback he's getting now,
and
when he tries to, when he tries to give us some advice on, hey, he shouldn't do that. So he's like, she's not changing.
Yeah.
And he's having a problem with the son. Now, here's where a lot of people miss it.
Yes, sir.
You're mad at the son, but actually, you're really mad at your fiance's parenting.
Yep.
That's where you really got it. Right. Because she's the one that raised him to be this way.
Yes, sir.
Where it's okay. Right. And he's asking, what should he do? I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna pass the mic. Brother, let me tell you what you don't want to do. You don't want to marry into this situation expecting it to change because y'all got married.
That part.
I do does not change who I am.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
If you see this right now and you're saying you cannot live with this, then don't go into it, or you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because it's really crazy or ignorant, or what's the right word? Stupid for you to be upset after marriage with what you saw prior to marriage.
Right. All right, Rick.
Well, I agree 100% with Pastor Jose. It's one of the things about it. It's not just this generation; it's our generation, Generation Xers too. You see this pattern also, where they're 40, 50 years old, and they're being taken care of by their mother. And unfortunately, if I had a private time with this brother, I would tell him to run.
You would.
I would tell him to run.
You would.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Let Janine and I get to the sister. Well, we probably
Bye-bye.
wouldn't because we don't. But
Gotta go.
Hey, I see a question y'all might want to answer. A woman just asked the question in my comment section. Would y'all want to hear it?
I want to hear
Yes.
it.
She says, he's in an apartment. Is he her equal? Is he going to be an equal contributor?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
That's a question that we have to pretty much size up.
Go ahead,
later.
Stephanie.
Good question. I think that it sounds like on both sides, they're going to have some allowances for each other in terms of what they have to adjust in their lives to become one.
Yeah.
Right. I can't imagine. I don't want to say that I don't see this ending well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But unless by some miracle, her son gets up off the couch,
right,
and does something, you know, I mean, now you have
family counseling, maybe
two adults under one roof. That means that's more time for video games and pizza and a bigger couch for him, because now he has people supporting his lifestyle, right? And I've asked people who have adult children living at home with them, and they've said, well, you know, it's really hard out there,
girl.
Particularly this is what I've heard in the big cities like LA, New York, where the cost of living is very high. You see kids staying home, staying with their parents longer. But I think there's supposed to be some time between living with your parents and being in a marriage that you have your own address.
Come on now.
Responsible for your own address, bills, everything.
Yeah.
You know, because that is part of your growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I add just one more thing? One more thing, Z, forgive me.
Go ahead.
The thought here, you know, when Paul talks about becoming all things to all men, so you may win some. In this scenario, could it be maybe that he relates to him on that level of playing video games? So in other words, he's making a deposit. It may take a while. You're gonna make a minute, but eventually he will probably see maybe that
at 24.
There you go. Yeah, I mean,
I have a potential solution. We had a man weigh in. He said, let's not forget, she inherited the house. She didn't buy it.
All right, John.
That was funny. Hey, but here's a potential solution. And the only way I can see this working is if he gets a mutual understanding with his fiance.
Yeah.
That she recognizes her son does need to learn independence, and he does need to venture out on his own and become a responsible full-time job. And if she agrees with it, now here's the second part, and together they come up with a plan.
Ooh, yes.
With an expiration date.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That he is out by or doing something different, whatever that is.
Right.
Maybe it's just him getting a full-time job.
Yes, sir.
Real money, saving up and starting, or maybe they even agree to help him with his startup.
Right.
Move and get on his own. And then
do a stepbrother move.
Conversation with him. That he understands, here's the plan. We got 6 months or whatever it is, 6 months. And if everybody buys in and sticks to it,
right,
it could possibly work. That's my advice to you, brother, before you give up on it.
That sounds like a movie.
And Pastor,
but you would need to, let me just say this. One of the things that I found with people that move with women, that move the guy into the house, that's the first. Why can't they just sell the house, buy something together? Because what happens then if it doesn't work out? He's the one that's out. If he's moving into her house, does it become their house?
If they're married.
Yeah,
legally a lot of women don't.
Yeah, legally it does.
Not necessarily. No, it doesn't.
Well, it depends. That is
part of the conversation that they have to have before they say I do. I'm really all in favor of as a new couple, you find a new place to live.
I agree.
No one moves into anybody else's space because you need to start on equal footing.
Yeah.
But if in terms of your finances, investments, assets, those kinds of things, a brand new space is not possible, then you really have to have the conversation about what it means for you to move into my space, me to move into your space, and how to officially make it our space. Otherwise, I'm visiting, right? It's like I've come to visit and I never go home, right? I always have my bag packed and it's by the door because I'm visiting your space.
Right.
True. But even if you're married, I don't get that.
It's just, I think it's hard for someone to come into someone else's space and everything is already set up. Your toothbrush is here.
So you pack a bag to leave after you're married?
If I'm paying rent or mortgage, it's my house.
Bruh.
But your name is not on the deed. Your name is not on the deed.
It will
so
be.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, it will be.
I'm not doing that. That's just me, though.
Okay.
That's just me, too.
I feel like we could beat this into the ground. We may need a new ladder.
Let's go.
All right, let's move on to the new ladder. All right, guys. So Rick's answer is to run. Pastor and Janine gave you a couple of different options. So, okay. Here's message number 2.
All right.
Dear squad. Okay, for the past 4 years, I've been with a man I believe is the love of my life. Early on, he admitted to a porn addiction that has plagued him his entire life and sabotaged past relationships. With my support, he began his first real attempt at recovery, which included mental health counseling. His progress over the past 4 years, while not perfect, have been tremendous. He's an entirely different person. I would describe our relationship as 90% joyful, 10% agony. He has had 5 brief relapses during which he has said incredibly hurtful things to me. I agree the cycle must be broken and only he can do it. About a month ago, he had a difficult relapse and ended our relationship. His therapist feels he needs to be on his own to focus on recovery. While I am devastated, I agree, but I can't understand why he's giving up on us forever and making big decisions like getting off the mortgage on the house we bought less than 2 years ago. He swears it has nothing to do with me, and that if it weren't for his addiction, he would spend the rest of his life with me. If his plan is to live alone, be single or celibate, and focus on recovery, why wouldn't he also pause on major financial decisions? Why is he so completely done when there is clearly hope for recovery and reconciliation? Heartbroken in Ohio. Girl, he just went out. Okay, that's my quick answer. Go ahead.
I don't agree with it.
You know?
I don't agree with this letter. Left out something very important. I don't know what she left out, but he's not leaving because he's watching porn. No man's doing that. That's not happening. I don't care how much he watches. He ain't leaving you because he's watching porn. No, that's not the reason he's leaving. That's
Are you sure?
No, I am 100% sure.
Pretty much.
I'm 100% sure that's not why he's leaving.
That's not why.
Okay.
If anything, what happens when she catches him? Yep. What kind of fights do they have? Yep. What is she saying in those points? What is really, because it ain't because he's watching porn. It may be because of what you saying about him and how you viewing him or what.
So what is she supposed to say?
And wait, there was a part where he said some hurtful things during his.
Yeah, he said it back.
Right. What is he saying?
I know she ain't telling you what she said. That's what I'm saying. This letter is missing some very important factors for us to give you a real accurate response.
Right.
Like you don't.
There's a lot of holes in this particular letter. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't no man start watching porn and just look over and start cussing you out. No, that doesn't happen.
What if he wants her to do the stuff that's on the porn?
No, this letter is lying to you. Not lying, meaning it's leaving out some very important information. Okay. He's not leaving because he's watching porn.
No.
Okay, Janine.
So to your point, Zandra, and I think we touched on this in our holiday episode. Do not chase after someone who does not want you.
Yep.
True.
You know, you cannot make someone want you. And even if you know, they really want you, but they're confused and there's other things
All
going
this
on.
complicated.
Right. You don't want to be caught up in that hot mess. So if this brother feels like he needs to end it cold turkey, go off and do what he's doing, like you said, Pastor Hosea, there's some things missing. But what's not missing from this letter is the fact that he's done.
Yeah.
Right. Let him go.
Yeah.
What can you do?
You know, you
cry it out, girl.
Right. If it's meant to be, it will be. And I would encourage her to look into some counseling also, because it's a lot to walk with someone through an addiction. There are some things that she needs to equip herself with to be supportive if there's still a there,
Absolutely.
but also to unpack that and move beyond it, because I'm sure she's going to have some feelings of, what could I have done to help him with his addiction,
right?
So that we could still be together. That's a lot of weight,
right?
Right, and you'll start to that could eat away at your self-esteem. So I encourage her to do some self-care.
You know, I heard a great man once tell me this. He said that when you're with a guy, when he finds the right woman, he said it is so hard to do something to make him leave. Like, you got to be just something like super, super crazy for him to actually leave you. And then if he doesn't want to be there, there's nothing you're going to be able to do to make him want to stay. He's going to always be looking for an out. So it's pretty easy, I guess. But women, we want to try to, guys, you can weigh in on that. That's just what I've been told.
Just noting here, he feels powerless. And for everyone to understand, particularly when it comes down to porn is not about sex. It's about not having power.
I don't ever understood that. How is porn about not having? How do you watching porn? I need more power.
Drugs. It's no different from drugs, because you're going for the high, and so that high makes you feel power. Pretty much, it makes you feel power. But at the same time, particularly if you're saved, it gives you that guilt. So that pretty much that spiritual schizophrenia mindset comes in. So my point, with this guy, this is me. Yes, you can get to counseling, you can sit down and so forth. That's wonderful. But you've got to get with somebody. Delivered, man. Deliverance, fasting, praying, those things come into play. There's a wonderful there's a wonderful book that I recommend to a lot of men who struggle with that. Whenever I do counseling with that, it's called Every Man's Battle. And it gives you insight on why you do what you do. And it's a beautiful book. So I recommend that, ladies, if you feel that your husband, your significant other, whoever has that addiction and they admit it or they struggle with it, my word to you is to definitely, hopefully get to counseling, have him, don't shame him. That's it. Yes, sir.
That part.
Don't shame him.
That part.
So what do you say if you keep catching him? Babe, it's okay. It's okay, babe. We're going to work through this.
Trust. It's not about trust.
See, oftentimes women take it personal as if something's wrong with them. I'm not enough. It has nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do.
Absolutely.
But Pastor, some men need to watch porn in order to have sex with their wives. So how can she not take that personal?
Say it one more time, and you was breaking up.
There are some men who need to watch porn in order to get an erection to have sex with their wives. So how can a wife not take that personal?
Because he's conditioned himself to get aroused there. Anything you do over and over again becomes a habit. That ain't got nothing to do with her. It becomes, this is how he's constantly gotten himself aroused.
But you feel undesirable.
It's a memory
undesirable. Though.
But I'm telling you, it's not about you. Regardless of how you take it, it's not.
As much as I, as a woman, I would need to understand that it's not about me. Men need to understand that by nature, I'm going to feel like it is about me.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Yeah. That's that meeting there in the middle, because from a woman's perspective, I would believe that if I am enough, you don't need that.
Right.
It doesn't register for me how I feel.
Yeah.
It doesn't register for me as an addiction. If I am enough, if you're attracted to me, if you desire me, then you don't need anything else. Now,
Right.
if you do need anything else, if you are struggling with an addiction, in my flesh, my natural conclusion is going to be, I am not enough. Whether that's your truth or not,
That's our truth.
it's hard for me to not feel as if I am not enough. And that's why I said, looking at her getting counseling.
Right. And I'm glad you said that, because what I was going to go to, I think in that situation, oftentimes women may need to look into, why does your actions make me struggle with my esteem? Maybe there's something I need to check within me that makes everything you do,
But Pastor, is that fair though? If I'm with my husband, we're talking about intimacy and wanting to be with me in that way. And if you're looking at me and you don't want to have sex with me, how am I looking like, well, that's his, he looking at the triple double D's or whatever.
Look, let's go all the way.
We didn't say didn't want to have sex with you. You took it to another conversation.
Let's go back to the fall, right? Let's go back to the fall and then the curse, right? The woman is always looking to the man, right? The man is looking to the ground. Right? It's how the man works the ground. That's his affirmation. So we're never looking at each other. Part of the curse of the fall is I am looking to the man for validation, affirmation, all those kinds of things. That I'm hardwired for that. So if he is looking in another direction and the direction is porn, I have to understand that I'm hardwired to
that's hard.
To feel like I then am not enough. We need to talk about it. We need counseling. And I need a professional to tell me, hey, this is what addiction looks like.
You know what I just saw? I just saw something in that. Maybe, and I'm glad you brought that up. Maybe now, with you saying that, think about that. Where you and Sandra on that. Maybe this can help you identify with what a man feels like when he's rejected sex from his wife. Like when she's not in the mood, she's got a headache, she's got that's that same thing then. I think now we can begin to have a mutual sensitivity to one another, and that, because when a man is married to you and whatever, and you're not in the mood, and you this, and and you all of a sudden are not as sexually aroused, period, as he is, it creates what is wrong with me then. What is, that's
I don't know if that's fair.
Did you see the question that came up? What if he's in the mood and she's not? I think part of the marriage vows agreement contract, this relationship you've entered into, right? That is where, I don't want to say you do things that you don't want to do, but you understand that there are going to be times where you don't feel like it. And your spouse does. I think if you have open communication, there are times when your spouse will give you that look and you're like, oh, not right now. And other times, last couple times you had a headache, you had this, you had that. You need to go on and take one.
In all due respect, in those moments, your husband don't want open communication. He want open legs. He don't want open.
I'm not talking about open communication in that moment. I'm talking about in the relationship. Talking about how you deal with it, Pastor.
I couldn't let that fly by. That was too much of an open door.
Best comment all night, sir.
Best comment.
Yes, sir.
But on that note, everybody give a final thought, and then we're going to move on to our next.
Let me say this: it is so important that women aren't treated like slaves, and that my sole purpose is here for you to have your way, and I just wait. Like I don't, I think I do have a right
That's true.
to say, "Ooh, I'm not in that headspace right now."
Right.
And that can't be every single night.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's we need to dig into that more, because that's
another
touchy.
whole
man. I just watched the movie this past weekend, The Last Duel. It gave me a greater sensitivity to the plight of women. I ain't lying, y'all. It really, I was like, wow.
We tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. All right.
The Last Duel. Anyway.
And it's hard to get to it if you didn't got on my last nerves.
Yeah. We're at our best.
Got on my last nerves. I'm not feeling it. Yeah. Don't look at me sideways.
He's just laying there like that.
Don't look at me sideways.
No. Rag doll.
The Bible says.
I know what the Bible says. You need to hear what I'm saying. Hey, you need to hear what I'm saying.
Me as the only.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, guys. Okay, the next segment.
That's hilarious.
This was so good. We couldn't even get through all the letters. So the next time, guys, we're going to pick up where we left off. But this next segment, guys, is really, really, this has been the talk of the town. It's been flooding viral videos, YouTube comments, dealing with why do Christians get a divorce?
Oh.
Why are you a Christian? You said God told you to get married. Why are you now getting a divorce? So, of course, the Megan Good, Devon Franklin situation. And so pretty much everyone knows, but I'll kind of bring everybody up to par. They've been married for 9 years. Megan Good got with Devon. And, you know, she said God told her that he was her husband. They met on the set of Jump in the Broom and et cetera, et cetera. And so we never know what's going on, but they just seem like this amazing Hollywood couple. Now, she has been plagued with a lot of criticism from church folk with how she dressed, how she acts, the roles that she chooses to be a pastor or a minister's wife. And so, she didn't like that. So she said she kind of got away from the church a little bit because of the criticism. But then out of nowhere, we hear, I should say for me, they released this joint statement saying that after prayer and consideration, they just feel like they're going to, go in different directions, et cetera, et cetera. And so Megan has gone on her way. Devon then releases this particular picture, and I don't get it. I'm going to admit it right off the bat. I don't understand none of this. Just say we get a divorce. It ain't worked. I don't know. I don't get it. So I'm going to let you guys weigh in.
Okay. So I am always leery when people say, God told me.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I believe
told me.
God does speak. God has spoken to me like directly, like I hear his voice. Mm-hmm. Other times he will use people around me to confirm something, to reconfirm something, or he will draw me to a particular scripture. It could be a commercial. It could be a message on the side of a bus. But I'm very, very careful. Even when I'm talking to friends and they've asked me my advice about something and I'm sharing scripture, etc., I very seldom ever say God told me, because it is so easy for man and woman to miss what God is saying, right? Then you try to make it seem like God changed his mind. No, you are the one that wanted to hear that, right? And so you're going to say God said it, and no one can come after you and challenge it because God said it, right? Mm-hmm. So that whole God told me my husband was such and such. Well, those are oftentimes, did God tell that other person?
Come on now.
Because God's not into secrets. Right? God's not going to tell one half of the couple. And then, God's going to tell both of you. If you're supposed to both be in it, God's going to reveal it to both of you. May not be at the same time.
Yeah. There's
no God's going to reveal it to both of you. So I don't know her walk. I don't know his walk. But that whole God showed me that he was my husband and all this kind of stuff. The same God would have showed you that the church is going to be up in arms about you. So you then shouldn't have been surprised
I
at
have to believe,
the heat
Janine,
that you got, because same guy would have told you that this is your husband. That's part of the package. So then I'm wondering, who did you hear from?
Well, hey,
Disney Channel?
he must have heard.
Inner Disney
Okay.
I'm
Channel?
pretty sure he prepared her for what was to come. I can't see him not doing that as a pastor. As this is your wife.
This is the same one that released this picture.
Yeah.
It's just disturbing. There's something we don't need to be a part of.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, y'all. I keep going on and on and on, but between this and then Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet, what lives have you been living if now you're trying to have a happy, true year? Who are these people that are coming together? And then you're discovering like a whole new person.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Janine, what a lot of marriages are going through, what I see personally, is that they always say this phrase, "I'm not happy."
Why are they not happy?
Well, the thing is because they believe, and Pastor, they help me, they believe that their spouse is supposed to bring them happiness.
Well, yeah.
And that's far from the truth.
Right.
Far from the truth. You have to come in as a naturally positive, upbeat, and maybe that's not you, but your outlook has to be positive.
Right.
So happiness, in my opinion, is based on the person that comes into the marriage and what they're going to contribute to the marriage. And so that's where happiness comes in.
So then you're saying we don't have a realistic view of what marriage is.
Exactly.
No, we have all these unmet expectations.
Right.
And then we're saying, I'm not happy. Right. Well, yeah, and that's part of it.
Yep.
Right. Jose, Pastor Jose, I'm gonna give you the floor because you haven't talked much. So let me give you some time. Everybody else, let them.
Hey, listen. First, when you talk about this particular post, if you ain't gonna say nothing, just don't say nothing, because you ain't said nothing. You say about being honest, being true. I don't know no more. I'm more confused than I am before. Like, and I know when people be in, their feelings. So my heart go out to you, brother, because you're going through divorce, and I know that cannot be easy. So for that, my prayers are with you. I just wish sometimes we wouldn't air certain things so personal, because you open yourself up for the public scrutiny of it.
Right. Yes.
If this ain't with true,
and particularly this picture, Pastor Dale.
But I'll say this: I'm gonna get off this picture because it's gonna make me mad. I keep reading this.
Yeah.
Here's where the issue goes. People, and yes, to answer your question, you actually, yes, or Zandra, whichever one of you it was, people do not have oftentimes a realistic view of marriage and what this is about. Right. Marriage is about, God's purpose for marriage was not to make you happy.
Yep, that's right.
Now, most people get quiet when I say that. Why else would I?
Why not?
Right. God's purpose for your marriage was to fulfill his purpose.
Right.
Happiness becomes a byproduct of fulfilling the purpose that God brought you together. Sir. And when you lose sight of that, you won't be able to make it through the storms you're going to have to go through. Your marriage has to be bigger than you. Your marriage has to be bigger than your feelings. Your marriage has to be bigger than the moment. It has to be something that we're accomplishing together, that we believe God put us together to fulfill this need. And that outweighs how I'm feeling today, what somebody said to me yesterday, what they posted about me the day after that. That's something that drives us to. It's a common goal that we're both committed to for his glory. That's what marriage is really supposed to be about. Yeah. Now, oftentimes we get married expecting things to change because we get married. Just because you're married and I don't know these people, so I'm speaking from things that we've heard. Just because you get married to a pastor, but your way and you do how you do, that don't mean everybody else just go accept you as you are and stop challenging it and just bow down to the fact where they married. That's their business. That ain't how people operate. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it ain't the way it goes. And
particularly if you're on social media.
Right. Because you a pastor and you marry somebody and you think, well, when I marry them, then they gonna understand and they're gonna become, because God's using me to develop them. God ain't using you to change nobody. That's his job. We don't change people. We just deliver the word of God and be who he calls us to be, and hopefully we inspire some about them. But you don't marry nobody expecting them to change. And oftentimes people are getting divorced over the same stuff that was there when you was dating.
Yep.
Why did you get married if you're gonna leave me over what I was doing when you met me?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, that's good.
That's my soapbox.
And
that's a high percentage of people that when you're going through counseling, it's stuff that was there.
Always 99.9.
When love pretty much wears off, the oxytocin and the once the chemicals wear off, they see, and it's unfortunately in this situation. She probably tried to change for him, but she wasn't feeling it.
And you know what? I think she also, again, I don't know her walk. I don't know his walk. From what we could see as outsiders looking in, I think she was probably more of a babe in Christ.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And she gets together with this pastor, minister, however he refers to himself.
She was the first lady, Jenny. We forget that.
Right. And then there was some growing up in the word that she does. So who she was when she started, I think now all of that looks different because she's grown up.
Yeah.
And God will allow marriage in his permissive will. There's his perfect will and his permissive will. We want to be in his perfect will.
Yes, ma'am.
God provides where he guides. That's all that. That's the perfect will. The permissive will is I didn't say yes to this. In fact, I said no. But you act like you didn't hear me. Or you kept begging, you want it, and then God will throw his hands up like, do it, fine, whatever. Either we're gonna deal with this now or we're gonna deal with this later. I think a lot of people get married in God's permissive will. That's and then they wake up one day and they see the hot mess that they're involved in. God is not necessarily going to shut it all down if he's like, ooh, she's out of my perfect will. He's out of my perfect will. They're in my permissive will. I'm just going to make it impossible for them to say I do. No, he will allow it. And then you find yourself calling out to him, trying to get up out of that hot mess. I think that they very well could have been in his permissive will, not his perfect will, right? And now.
So I'm sorry, before I forget, guys, if you have any questions, definitely let us know. We want to answer any questions that you have. Also, like, subscribe, and share our videos on BETTERFLIES on YouTube. Please. The link is in the comment section as well as up in the description box. Tell your friends about us. I want to make sure I just plug the show before I forget. This conversation is so good. I want to make sure that I got that in. So, okay, go ahead. I just want to make sure.
I want to read a comment from somebody on my personal page. Blessing me because I watched her grow up. Alicia Wells, who's been married now for many years. Seems folk take the easy way out instead of going back to square one and remember why they married the person. Marriages have seasons. Gotta stay the course and fight for it. I know that's right, baby girl.
Right.
Now, here's what I was gonna say. Oftentimes, too, in marriage, people don't fully count up the cost, as Jesus told us.
Yes,
oh yeah.
You gotta count up the cost. Now, I ain't gonna even lie. Marriage of this magnitude with the Hollywood titles attached to both names, really.
Right.
As, a hot Hollywood producer, her as a hot Hollywood star and actress.
Right.
The cost of the amount of scrutiny you would get, the attention, the magnifying glass, to add ministry on top of that, with the church folk, with you not having, because when you're in clergy or married to clergy, you're placed on a higher standard and pedestal than others. Wrong, right, or indifferent, that's the reality of the situation. And you gotta consider that cost of whether or not what you're getting is worth what you got to put up with to have it, because you don't get to separate one from the other. Don't pray for the rain if you're going to complain about the mud. It comes together.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a package deal. And I don't think they fully consider the cost of what this would cost. I mean, that's why, because what you know what divorce is? Divorce is saying I can't pay, I ain't paying for this no more. I'm not willing to pay for what it takes to stay in this any longer. Count up the cost before you start. And again, my prayers are with them, because divorce is ugly and it's hurtful. It's been compared to death. And
death is worse.
We need divorce to pray for them, but we're not trying to extort them in any way, but we're trying to use this as an example to educate and empower others so they too can learn. The greatest teacher is not experience, it's somebody else's experience.
Yes, sir.
And the other thing we can't forget is that they did write a book called Wait, and it was a lot of backlash.
They should have waited
with that book. And some of the couples who have been married a long time did say, like, y'all need to wait before you wrote this book, because you need to go through a couple of seasons. You need to, get out of that honeymoon phase, all of that. A couple of people came out and spoke out against it. Just, hey, because you don't want to end up eating mud.
Yeah. And how long were they married when they wrote the book?
A couple of years, 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Because they've been together 9. That's been quite a
yeah.
So now, like, so my question to you, is the book still good? Like, would you still recommend somebody to read that book?
I mean, I don't know, because I've never read the book. So let me because sometimes it's one thing between, and because I don't know, like, if you ask me what I think, I'll give you my opinion. But I have never read the book. But I know a lot of people that preach good sermons that never live them. So, like, so depending on the content, because I won't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because you may have great excerpts from great material that comprised it. Hey, look at my new book. And the material still may be great. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm trying to not necessarily tie them in their knowledge, understanding, or lack thereof with what's in the book, because I never read it. So I wouldn't recommend it because I never read it.
Right.
The people that wrote it divorced. That's not the reason.
I'm gonna say something controversial really quick.
Okay, Rick.
Yes.
Go ahead, Pastor Rick.
We'll be done. They waited 9 years. Year 10 was coming. They knew they had to get a divorce.
How do you know that?
Well, because in California, if you go 10 years, you splitting everything.
Ooh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Are we sure they make their home?
Wait a minute. Educate us, Rick.
What's that?
Educate us. You didn't add another caveat.
No, it's one of those things that, my wife and I, when we deal with couples and so forth, when year 10 comes around, you need to start thinking before year 10 if you're going to stay with this person. I'm not saying divorce. I am not saying that. But
what's the other option?
Can we get rid of this sad picture?
Stay together, get counseling. You come to us to get counseling.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'll second that motion.
Can we get rid of the sad picture, Devon, and all I see is his nostrils and I just
coming out of his nose. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but year 10 was coming around, and I think they said, hey, let's just do this now. Finalize this. You move on. I move on. You take your stuff. I take my stuff. Because I don't know if a prenup was signed or not.
Because otherwise, it would have got a lot more legal issues would have came into play. What you're saying, if they would have waited a few more months.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, he filed for divorce, which is interesting.
Because
Normally, the woman
knew he would be losing a lot. Yes, ma'am. He knew it. Just saying.
But this is my whole thing with that. He's this pastor. He's telling that he's going he's telling people how
and he's also a
to get
businessman.
married. Yeah, but then it's like, does he lose all credibility behind this?
No.
Well, and so I'm going to throw this name in there. We remember the stuff that went down with Derek Jackson.
Oh,
and his wife,
yeah,
right, and all of that.
Okay.
Derek continued to do lives. I think there's another book that came out.
Janine, hold on. I got something for you.
I'm not making light of it, but what I'm saying is.
That's funny.
Who?
We don't know. They're anonymous. They're anonymous.
Hey, what I will say though, hopefully, he may really grow through this. He may really learn. You're right. That's right. Good. They may really
she heard
grow.
From God.
Yeah, learn valuable lessons.
Her husband was.
Yeah, because I mean, life is about living and learning. Well, this is what I see. Everybody falls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fall ahead.
Yeah.
Don't fall behind.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
When you learn from your failure, that's falling ahead. Because you're further along when you get up than you were when you fell down. But when you're not learning anything and you living mistakes on repeat, that's when it's an issue. Right. Hey, I got another comment on my page.
Okay.
What do you a question rather? What do you think Devon's reason was to marry Megan? Do you think it was lust or love?
She's a beautiful woman. We probably would never know. We probably would never know. Like, I mean,
I seeing her in person, I see why. Mm-hmm. She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
He's a good looking dude himself.
Yeah, I saw them in person.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
so maybe it was physical attraction.
But he's a minister. This is what I'm saying. I guess
but what does that mean?
This is what I'm getting at.
Ministers don't get attracted.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to figure that. Go ahead, Z. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I am saying is that this is a man that's supposed to know. That's all I'm saying. You wrote a book.
To know
what? You're supposed to know. You're the one doing the premarital counseling to folks. And they wrote a book. They wrote this book to wait, and God told me, and blah 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 blah, et cetera, et cetera. And then why would it take 9 years? My only thing is 9 years.
It was submission.
That's a long time.
I think a lot of it had to do with submission.
You don't think she wanted to submit to him?
I don't think she got tired of probably playing the game in the sense of looking at, and I want to, go into the deep, make something up, but the church was coming out. She said that.
Yeah, those are her words.
She was having that pressure. And I've seen that in another marriage, another celebrity marriage, a friend of mine who pretty much was on television, ex-football player, and they got married. And once it went south because she didn't like the church on how they were talking about her on a reality show. So that was a whole nother thing. So when pastors get married, they have to understand that there are consequences about who you're marrying. And we know this as pastors. We know this as pastors. Yeah. Your wife can make or break your ministry.
You got that right.
And you also have to consider this, Pastor Rick, when you marry.
Yes, sir.
If you love the person you're going to marry, of course, right?
Yeah.
You also have to consider their protection and if they can handle this. Like out of love, like I want to put you in a situation that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
Right.
But I know what comes with this. Can you handle that? Yeah. Somebody said, yes, he was a pastor, but he was a human first.
True.
Yeah.
True.
It's true.
That's true. That is.
We say that all the time.
Go back to what you said about would you recommend the book? Is the book any good? I have not read the book, but my feelings about the book, I'll liken it to if I am trying to lose weight, right? And I'm going to follow somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not going to be someone who lost weight and gained it all back.
Talk to me. Yes, ma'am.
That's a good point.
I'm going to need you to be.
Well, they didn't know how to lose it.
Right?
Right. That's the argument.
You just don't follow the chapters on how to keep it.
Right. I'm going to kind of need you to still be walking that walk.
Oh God.
Right? Because now your messaging, right?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying doesn't really work. Are you working it out? And so you gonna teach me, you gonna show me how to get physically fit. I need you to be in shape. I don't,
that goes back to what Pastor mentioned about with pastors when you can preach
Pastor
a good
Rick was
sermon.
about to say something crazy. I can feel
it.
I know.
Pastor Hosea, when you mentioned about preaching,
I know.
Hold up. When Pastor Hosea, when you mentioned about when someone preaches a good sermon, but they're not living it, that's a part of the problem. I just want to make sure I make that perfectly clear. That's the problem when you're preaching something you're not living.
See, okay, because you bring that up. It doesn't mean in this point of someone preaching a sermon that the word you preach was wrong. Do you know a doctor can treat your illness and still die from cancer?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no. What I'm trying to say is to prescribe the medicine is one thing.
To take it
to take that prescription yourself is an entirely different thing.
Yes, sir.
I'll never forget, I heard Rob Paulson say this years ago, and this was so powerful. It's simple, but it was profound to me. He said, I'm anointed to preach this gospel. I ain't as anointed to live it. I gotta live it the same way you do. I gotta resist. I gotta struggle. I gotta deny my flesh. He said the preaching part come easy because there's a special anointing on me to do that. But that application, that's another situation.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, we got 5 minutes, so let's just ring this on in. Any final comments? This went by quick.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Any final comments? Any final thoughts? Just with I agree. We talked about the picture. I don't know why he released. I don't get that. With just releasing the picture with him crying and maybe somebody can chime in on that.
No, we can't.
He was in his feelings. He was just in his feelings, and I don't know. At that point, I'm like, you need to fire your best friend because you need somebody you call.
Somebody in your camp told you wrong.
Yeah.
Take that down.
Told you wrong.
This is something I would like to say. Oftentimes when I respond to a message in a bottle or comments or anything, it may seem like I'm hardcore. It's black or white. There is no gray area. Certainly there's a gray area. But when we talk about if someone's ghosting or, this guy doesn't want you anymore, and I'm like, just let it go. I spent too much time foolishly trying to figure out why somebody didn't like me. Somebody didn't want me, chasing after them, hoping and and
that's it.
And I had to make a decision, right? I cannot change anybody. I cannot force anybody, and I don't want to force anybody to love me, but I have to love Janine enough to draw the line in the sand and say, if you say you don't want me, if you show me you don't want me, I need to believe that.
The sand is enough
and move on and set up boundaries and love on myself enough to stop wasting time trying to figure out why.
Right.
Because trying to figure that out means that I am willing to become a whole different person. A whole whatever. And whoever I become could still not be enough.
Okay.
Right?
That's
I
good.
got to work on the authentic Janine. So when the one does come, that I am findable.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on.
Right?
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
So,
all right, guys.
Listen, so a lot of times you hear me going, oh, just forget about it. He doesn't want you. Who cares? Move on. I believe that in my whole heart.
Right.
Because it's a waste of time to try to figure out any of that other stuff. If they don't want you, move on. Somebody does, and you're preventing them from coming.
Fine.
Wow.
All right, guys, we're running out of time. We
I
want to
love
give
it.
the other two guys another. Anybody else?
Good
Anybody
stuff.
else before we wrap this up?
I'll be real quick. One of the key things the scripture talks about loving thy neighbor as thyself, or before that, Jesus says, love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul. Second into it, love thy neighbor as thyself. The key phrase there is loving thy neighbor as thyself. So if you love God, you can love yourself.
Yep.
And you can love your neighbor.
Yep.
Your neighbor, yes, is your significant other. Yes, whoever. And you have to be very, very key. Make sure you hone in on that loving thyself in through the love or through the Holy Spirit of God. So that's my take when it comes down to loving yourself. Absolutely.
That's true.
That's
and I'm going to piggyback on that same scripture.
Yes, sir.
The problem we having with some folk is that they are doing that. They are loving you the same way they love themselves.
Okay.
Woo!
See, you trying to get something from somebody that they don't have within them to give. I'm requiring something you don't yet possess.
Yes, sir.
I'm requiring a love that's not even in you for you yet. How can you give me what you don't possess for you?
Woo! Come on. Come on.
That's good.
I got to find another fountain because this one dried up.
Yes, sir.
Come on. Come on.
Wow.
Good stuff,
Good
Pastor.
now. On that note, wow, this has been unbelievably powerful, guys. I'm so excited. I'm just still taking this.
Yeah.
Give me breath and exhale. Well, guys, remember, like, subscribe to our channel. The link is in the comment section. The link is also in the subscription section. BETTERFLIES Entertainment. Right now, you're catching us on multiple platforms. In a couple of weeks, guys, we're going to just be on YouTube, only on BETTERFLIES Entertainment. So go over right now and subscribe. Send in your letters if you want to have us answer a letter. You don't have to leave your name. You can give a pseudonym or whatever. You can send it to myself, Zandra S. Wilson at yahoo.com, or BETTERFLIESentertainment@gmail.com. Whichever one. We would love to answer your letters. We promise not to butcher them or to, we're going to answer them in love. And prayerfully, the advice is something that you can take. But guys, this has been real. This has been good. Come on back, share, tell your friends about us. We're going to be back in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned. And again, I'm telling you, send these letters in. Send these letters in. We're going to have some prizes for you guys. So it's all kind of fun stuff we got coming up in the future. Okay? Until next time.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.